Okay, let me tell you guys something before I start. I just posted a picture on my spam account about my CBD oil, and my mom wanted to try it, so I let her have some. And it was sitting here, and I was like getting ready to plug my computer in to do this, and it spilled all over my desk, and I have carpet floors, so I literally was like cupping my hands, and it's oil, so it's just like soaking into, and that was stressful. And you like can't clean oil up with water, you have to use soap, or like it was complicated. But this is when I learned that things just like that, like getting angry over that, it's just pointless. It's something that is not necessary, and I don't need to stress out about it because it froze. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Can't take it back, and I just need to move forward with it. So this is really bugging me. How am I supposed to shut my doors? I don't know where it is. Okay, so today, tonight actually, since it's 11 at night, I went to a church service with my best friend, and I kind of want to share. It's Easter weekend, and I want to share kind of about Easter and about what this service kind of made me realize the importance of it. And yeah, so I went to North Church. If you live in Oklahoma City, or Edmond or whatever, surrounding areas, it's kind of our main event off of Memorial and like Western, kind of more west of Western, like in between Western and like main event. Maybe I may be wrong. Maybe it's Penn. I don't know. Okay. Well, anyways, today they have these like sermon notes, and if you just realize that in churches they have those things in front of the pews or whatever, where they have like those paper and those blanks, and you never really know the purpose. Well, a lot of times it's for people to take home notes, and so I picked it up because Blair picked it up and started filling it out. And let me tell you, today, I always think it's weird that like when like lessons or whatever in church like speak out to me. Oh my gosh. Holy smokes, killed me. But so obviously it's about the resurrection of Christ, and if you aren't familiar, which I feel like everyone is somewhat familiar with the concept of Easter, is that Jesus was crucified on a cross, hence the symbol of a cross, which stands for other things too, which I won't get into because I guess I don't want to teach you things that I'm not fully aware of and fully have studied and everything, because most of this is just me sharing things that I think and feel, which are not tangible and provable, I guess. Obviously it's about the resurrection, but Jesus was crucified and hung up on a cross with two other men, and died on the cross, and then I think it's 3 days later he rose from the tomb, and there was this like big rock that is still there you can visit. I'm so excited that I want to go whenever I go on my trip. Anyways, so they kind of talked about three things in this lesson. The notes that were John 5:13, which talks about love, was Luke 23:34, which talks about forgiveness, and Philippians 3:10 and Hebrews 12:1 and 2 talk about resurrection, or concept of resurrection. But I want to start off with a verse that they started with, John 19:9. He took Jesus back into the headquarters again and asked him, "Where are you from?" But Jesus gave no answer. "Why don't you talk to me?" Pilate demanded. "Don't you realize that I have the power to release you or crucify you?" Then Jesus said, "You would have no power over me at all unless it were given to you from above." And that was like the first thing it started off with, and I was like, okay, they got me. Because you are giving power to someone. No one has power over you. they may be your boss, they may be whatever, and have that technical like position over you, but no one really has that power of controlling you. Not even God. God has the power, but he chooses to give you free will and to give you the ability to choose whether or not you want to take that from him. And this just says, you would have no power over me at all unless it were given to you from above. Is that God gives you the power for yourself. He doesn't give the power to other people to control you. Christians who come up to you and say, like, criticize you, that's not them being Christians, that's them sinning. And you just have to realize, and it's really hard to recognize. It's easy to say it. It's hard to do it and feel it. It's the hardest thing is to control your feelings and your thoughts. And that is like really where, like, once you're able to change that a little bit, that's when you can really see the success that you're having in developing yourself and in changing yourself. And then he talked about a verse in Matthew 26:53 that talks about how God could send like one angel in the Bible. It talks about how one angel went and killed like some 100,000 men, and it talks about how Jesus could command thousands of angels to save him if he wanted to. He could have. God has that power. Jesus has that power. And the pastor did like the math and figured out that that would be 13 plus billion people that could die just from the angels that they call thousands. And so it was that's just something that's like ridiculously crazy to think about. And it's just that power that God has. He like has an infinite amount of power, and we sit here and we're like, okay, show the ways you can prove that he has this power. Well, the thing is that God doesn't choose to show off all the time, to show off all his power. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do it to show off. And that's what's so cool, is like you can't really prove the power he has because there's nothing to demonstrate even close to it. Yeah. But what I wanted to really get into was the concept of resurrection. And when we think resurrection, we literally think like dead people coming back to life. And we don't really think that it's a real thing. We don't think that it's that tangible. It's hard to relate to. But this was when I was like, holy cow, this is directed at me. Like, this is me. Is when he talked about God can breathe life into death. And in that, God can breathe life into dead marriages, dead relationships, dead friendships, dead jobs, dead, like your soul feels dead. And what was so cool is we listened to a song, and the song said, when death was arrested and my life began. And when I was in like that position where I was so close to the brink of death, that was like calling my name, was when, not that like I was dying, I felt like I was, I guess, and I was on that brink, and I was in that place where I was ready to go. I didn't have it here, and is that like when death was arrested, they literally took death, God took death away and started this life that I have. And I can remember the exact moment when I realized that maybe I wasn't done feeling done, but when I can remember that my faith wasn't something that I wanted to do without. And I've shared a little bit about it, but I'll share it again, is that when I was in the hospital, I was only there for like 3 days. It sounds like I was there for like months, but I was only there for 3 days. And there was this patient, Angela, who suffered severely, more than most people, more than all the other patients who were in there. There weren't that many, there were like 12. And Angela had her own sleeping quarters, her own area, and she really struggled with this concept of, she felt like she had a demon spirit being like developed in her like she was about to give birth to Satan. She wasn't pregnant. This was all like a mental part she was going through that apparently, getting to know a little more about her, she went through these times like every few years, every now and then. She was like 20 something, but she thought she was a lot younger, and her story was pretty stabilized to where it was she felt like she needed to be chemically like punished, she needed to have a chemical wash, and a lot of it came out in that. And at first, like, we took off, like, everyone was terrified, like, don't want to sit by Angela, like, when Angela comes out of her room, like, everyone, like, be aware, because she was, like, before I got there, was attacking people, but she calmed down a lot by the time I got there. She would still yell and call code blue, and there were things that were like, oh, that's funny. But one day, I was like, Angela, listen to me. And I sat with her and I said, Angela, can you sit down? And I was in a chair and she was on her knees, and I said, Angela, can we pray together? She was like, yes. And so we prayed, and I said, and this was because she was talking about needing to be punished, and she was telling me she needed to have a chemical bathing. I said, Angela, listen to me. Before we prayed, I said, Jesus died on a cross to cleanse you of all your sins. You do not need to be punished. You have been forgiven. For anything you've done, you've been forgiven. So we sat down and we prayed. And what was so weird to me was the fact that I had sort of given up on my faith, because I felt like it wasn't something I needed to attach to something tangible to get through what I was going through. Like, I felt like this concept of belief could not get me better, could not heal me, because I'd have to be strong to believe it. But that's the thing, is you don't. Like, you can be weak, you can be feeble and broken, and not, like, you don't have to be stable to grasp onto it first. It's the thing that stabilizes you. And you don't have to be perfect in it. And in that, like, I wouldn't say like in that moment, but from that moment on, my relationship to death was crushed, and my new life was born, and a new me started to develop, and I've been birthed into this new life that I get to live, which is so exciting. But it's just something to think about, is that this time of year, every year, we celebrate this renewal of life, and this proving of His holiness and His strength and His forgiveness and everything, through God, through Jesus' resurrection and dying on the cross. And it's just something that we have to think about in our lives, is that there are times when there have been things that are dead in our lives that we need to let go, but there are times that something's been dead, or we've felt dead, or that have been healed, that have been resurrected, have been revitalized. And that's just something that I took from this, and that I've been beaten, and like I've been crushed and beaten in if I had to like put my spirit into a person, I would literally like imagine someone who is completely demolished and bruised and just weeping and just having no energy, because that's how I felt. I looked presentable, or I looked like I was making things up, but no one can feel how you feel. And the only way to describe is I literally felt like I had nothing in me to live anymore. And there was this little spark of fuel that started at that conversation with Angela. This little spark that I slowly warmed up. And that wasn't the only thing that like made me get better. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm not like better. We're never the best. Like, we're never gonna be like, I'm officially better. Like, we are getting better, but we're not gonna be like, I'm good now. Like, there's always gonna be things that we need to heal from, and things that are going to tear us down and beat us up. But that healing process is life. And that's something I have to realize, is that this is a process that I have to go through every day, and my strength has shown tremendously. And if people can't realize it, then that's on them. And the people who do, and the people who support it, and the people who've been there, those are the rocks that God has laid in front of me to step on and to rely on, to live with, and to do life with. And they're special and they're few. The rocks, they stay. I always talk in metaphors, but like, say I'm a fishbowl that you replenish the water every now and then. The rocks he gives you, they sink and they stay in your bowl, but everyone else are just leaves that float and clean out. And it's just, I know I'm gonna have to be resurrected again, and that God has that power to do that, and I just need to have that faith and to let it be in the hands of God and to give it over to him, because all I can do is live this life right here, right now, by loving people, by loving myself, by loving God, and by doing his work here on earth. And that's why I'm so excited to be going on this trip where I can go, I'm calling it my love journey, and where I get to go discover God's love and God's people, and I get to go love on them and love on his creations and see his beauty and see the creations that his creations have made, their masterpieces, see the structures of Buddhist temples, see all these beautiful things in the world, and I get to experience and appreciate that love of God. And I have chills every time I think about it, and how close it's coming, and how real it is, and how this spiritual side of me is not just this little phase. It's not a phase, Mom. It's a real thing. It's not a phase. This is something that I'm dedicating myself to, and it's going to be a huge part of who I am. It is who I am for the rest of my life. It's not going to be this little part of me that is going to come and go like people, or like relationships, or like I don't know, like movies, favorite movies, like things that are just actually, I don't know why I said favorite movies, but like trends. It's not going to come and go. This isn't a trend for me. This is a lifestyle that I'm starting to build right here, right now. When you have a kid, you have that kid for life. Like, they're your child forever, no matter what happens. This is going to be part of me no matter what happens. And God is here to strengthen me, and he's this foundation for me that's going to keep me up and keep me going, and his power is here to give me hope. He's here to give me this hope again, to give me dreams. He sets these goals, these things in my life for a reason, and I'm saying yes. I'm taking a play from Bob Goff, and I'm gonna say yes. It's not the right time right now for me, but I'm gonna say yes, no matter what people say, no matter who doubts me. It's gonna happen. This is gonna be a crazy, awesome lifestyle, and I'm so excited that I'm officially going to be working on my certification to become a yoga instructor, and I can teach yoga when I travel. I can do yoga. Yoga is more than like a pose. It's a spiritual, like physical and metaphoric, I don't even know. It's just this presence that you get to become. And I think that combined with my faith is really going to mesh and develop into this crazy awesome person that I hope you get to know and like. And if you don't, oh well, sucks for you. And I'm just so excited for where this is going to take me. And this is probably one of my favorite videos. So, happy Easter, have a great time, love you guys, and spread love. Love God, love people. That's actually, like, what this says is love God, love people, follow Jesus. Could not give you better advice. I can't keep it in. Do it. And I'm gonna start going to North Church, so if you ever want to go with me, let me know. Okay, bye guys.